I did it softer.
Thank you.
I'm going to call the October 16th meeting of the West Des Moines City Council to order and invite you all to stand and join us for the Pledge of Allegiance. Okay, please sign in.
Five members present.
Okay, have there been any changes to the agenda?
No changes, Your Honor.
Okay, can I get a motion to approve the agenda as distributed?
Motion to approve. Second.
Okay, so moved and seconded, please vote.
Five yes.
Okay, moving on to item 2. Oh, I'm sorry. Citizens Forum. This is the time for anybody in the audience who would like to address the council on anything that's not either part of public hearings or new business. Please come to the podium here, give us your name and address for the record, and I'd ask that you keep it to 5 minutes or under.
Good evening. My name is Dr. Vicki Longhill, 136 10th Street, West Des Moines. And I stand before you. It's an honor, of course, to be here before the City Council. But today was a special day, and I think it would be for all of the citizens of West Des Moines as well as West Des Moines. We finally solidified putting up the permanent signs, the honorary signs, today at 4 o'clock. It was a wonderful event. But most of all, I just stand here to say thank you. And how many times can you say it along this whole process? But I want to say that not only our family, the Long family, but citizens and others, even some of public officials, long time, have wanted the same to happen. For the city representatives, the staff, thank you all. It took a lot to get here. This was not easy, but what it shows to me is the camaraderie, how long and how far we have came. And through it all, the passion, the understanding, the working together, and resolutions and consensus, all of that. But throughout the process, it never ended. It kept going. And so I want to thank all city council members to look at the city of West Des Moines now, its history for the making, not only for the Longs, but for the city of West Des Moines, the historical moment, the first time ever that an honorary street was named in honor of anyone in the city of West Des Moines. I go back to my days, and I was thinking the other day, I've been a public servant for a long time, over 30 years, and I had to find out probably 10 years after I was in my government positions that I'm a public servant. As an assistant city attorney, as an attorney with the government, the U.S. government, as working with the AG's office, I've been a public servant. And this was, again, an opportunity to join in with everyone and serve. And I'm quite humbled to be in it. I don't want to say eyes, but to see how far the city has come and we have came together. There's so many people that are proud that the body, the citizens, and we've all come together to make this happen. And it's just the beginning. It shows growth. Been here a long time, my parents much longer. And so I know that there was sincerity in doing this together, and I want to thank you once again.
Thank you, Vicki.
Thank you, Vicki.
Okay, anybody else for Citizens Forum that is currently present in the chamber, and then I'll go to online. The Stoll team,
The Stoll
Team
team.
Stoll.
Hi, everyone. I'm Danielle Stoll. This is Thomas Stoll. We're at 3530 Commerce Drive here in West Des Moines. We have a letter we're going to read tonight because I thought that would be the easiest approach. We're writing in response to the October 16th, 2023 City Council Agenda Item 5C. This is under Old Business. Amendment to City Code Title 9 Zoning, Chapter 5, Agricultural Open Space and Residential Zoning District. We met with Lynn Tweed, Director of Development Services for the city this afternoon for clarification of the zoning changes being voted on tonight in regard to this issue. Ms. Tweed was very helpful and provided the information we needed. Our understanding is that the city's codes are being updated by a consultant, and the city is using this opportunity to revise the uses allowed in agricultural/open space. We understand that this issue was approved by the Planning and Zoning Commission and has been voted on in a previous meeting by council. However, we just became aware of this zoning change this weekend. We feel that as landowners with several parcels zoned agricultural/open space, we should have been notified by letter that this zoning change was being discussed. These zoning changes are substantial and would limit our use and enjoyment of our property. We believe there might be other landowners in a similar situation in the city who would have received benefit from being notified. In our experience, West Des Moines does a good job of sending letters when there are zoning changes affecting its citizens. So we were surprised that a change of this magnitude is already to this stage of approval. Our family homestead was established in 1869 and just this summer received both Century and Heritage Farm designations from the state of Iowa, Secretary of Agriculture. Records indicate that our family's Heritage and Century Farm is the only remaining and undeveloped one in the city of West Des Moines. Our family was deeply honored to be recognized for our family's contributions to Iowa's agricultural legacy for over 150 years. Although our family is already using many of the permitted uses for agricultural/open space, these changes that the council is voting on tonight will substantially reduce our property rights now and limit the scope of our agricultural uses in the future. For instance, the revised use matrix would not allow for any small-scale hobby farming that is not currently established. This change is so limiting that a farmer could not even add poultry for their own family's uses. We agree with the intent of the changes that reduce what is allowed in agricultural open space. For instance, some of the changes to like light industrial and electrical services, we get all of that. However, this umbrella of changes will adversely affect the private landowners who have a legacy of agricultural uses on their property and plans for future agricultural endeavors. Ms. Tweet shared with us that she would prefer for council to approve this section as written, which would limit our property rights, but then work collaboratively. Sorry, I gotta get help me with my technology here. There we go. Work collaboratively with city staff over the next few months that the consultant is revising the city code to fine-tune the language in this section to add back in permitted uses. We agree with this approach as long as council agrees that this is the best course of action. Ms. Tweet shared that our land designations and uses are not the norm in the city, and we believe there are other landowners who will be negatively affected by these changes. We agree that our property is unique in its agricultural legacy and our desire to maintain this family homestead for generations going forward. Ms. Tweet was open to the idea that an exception be written into the code for Century/Heritage Farms that would not limit agricultural uses in the way that is currently being proposed. We are supportive of this approach and hope that city staff and council support it also, or have an alternative approach that would not limit our property rights. Thank you very much.
So let me just be clear. Are you asking that we defer on this item tonight and have greater discussion and bring it back at a later date?
Yes, absolutely. If we had more time to talk about it as a whole,
Okay.
that would be great.
Okay.
And not just us. I'm sure there's other agricultural operators, Witterns, and some other ones that are going to be adversely affected, could potentially be adversely
Okay.
affected by this, so.
Yep. Appreciate it. Thank you, guys. Okay, anybody else for citizens forum, for anybody that's in the chamber right now? Okay, seeing no movement, is there anybody online that would like to address the council on citizens forum? Please hit *6 to unmute yourself. Anybody online at all? *6. Okay, citizens forum is closed. We're going to move on to item 3, mayor, council manager report, other entities update. We are going to start to my left here with Councilman Lotz.
Just a real quick report. I was able to meet with Director Stiles again today and talk about the finances of the city, and I continue to be impressed with how we're managing our debt load and things like that. My primary concern was around cost of capital and how that works out as well as affects our balance sheet. So happy to report to you, Your Honor, that I feel like things are in good hands with Councilman Hudson and myself's attention to it as well as staff's management of it. So thank you.
Well, thank you very much. Appreciate all the work you guys do in finance administration to go over the budget and go through all the hotel motel tax budget and applications and review all those and give us your recommendations. So I know we've got an amendment to the budget coming up here, and I know you guys look through that very thoroughly. So, Councilman Trevilian.
Nothing this time.
Okay, Councilwoman Hardman.
Yes, good evening, everybody, and good evening, Mayor. I'd just like to say a couple of things. This weekend was cold and chilly, but a lot of fun, where a number of us enjoyed the Raccoon River Rally. I think it was the 3rd annual. I want to congratulate the West Des Moines Parks and Rec, Parks and Rec, for all of the work that they've done, and the Chamber. The Chamber really put that event on, and it's well supported by the city, well supported by Parks and Rec. It was a wonderful time. I do think we need to find a more warmer day for it, to have those boats out there in the cold and whatnot. They were troopers, but it was really, really fun. I also enjoyed the ribbon cutting and the remarks that were made for the beautiful, beautiful, beautiful playground that's in the park. It is just exquisite. So really, really proud when I walked that to see that we have that right in our own city, a quality of life initiative. So kudos to Park and Rec for that as well. Human Rights Commission met, and they are doing great work. Extending this whole notion of this city being a welcoming city for all, well beyond the 4 walls of City Hall. I want to thank Audrey Kennis for her leadership on helping shepherd the work of the Human Rights Commission. And the exciting thing is that we have voted to have a youth representative on the Human Rights Commission. We have 7 applications to review. So there are 7 applications of youth that want to get engaged in this kind of work. Can you imagine what kind of leadership training they're going to have and the exposure they're going to have? So we are going to be selecting one of those youth that will represent the city of West Des Moines on the Human Rights Commission. So glad to have such good representation of so many young people raising their hand to say, I want to be engaged. I am representing, I'm on the Martin Luther King Jr. Planning Committee. We are already starting the work that's going to happen in January and making a bigger event and welcoming people to our city to celebrate that. So again, it's a robust committee of probably 10 to 12 individuals, and we've had several meetings now. Led by Audrey and her team, and excited of what's going to happen next year in 2024 to celebrate Martin Luther King Jr. here in West Des Moines. That concludes my report.
Thank you so much, Councilwoman. Yeah, I would just take this time to piggyback on what you were talking about, the Raccoon River Rally and the ribbon cutting ceremony for the playground. What a phenomenal day. Very, very proud day. Parks and Rec worked extremely hard to get that playground done and to pick out a playground that was an inclusive playground for children with intellectual disabilities, developmental disabilities, as well as sensory issues. It is an all-inclusive playground. It's 52,000 square feet of play space that breaks down the barriers, allows everybody to play together. It was really, really well thought out and really makes me proud that we have this new playground for kids to play together in our city. So just a very heartwarming, amazing, groundbreaking. Ryan Penning is our director, did a phenomenal job, and his entire staff. I mean, when we have these incredible events, you think about our Parks and Rec department, they're working these events. They're working basically almost all weekend long to prepare for this and get it ready, and a lot of preparation went into that. Also, thanks to the Explore West Des Moines Committee for all the work they put in for this Raccoon River Rally. The weather did not cooperate with us. In spite of the weather, we had a pretty good turnout. This event I see as one of the premier events that we're going to have in our city in the future, that and IllumaFest and some others. As the councilwoman said, we need to try to work to get this on maybe a little bit of a warmer day. Dr. Matt Adams, one of the most incredible superintendents in this state, if not this country, he was involved in the cardboard boat races. They had a school bus boat, if you will. He took the fastest time in that. The boat didn't sink. He beat everybody. He is just an incredible guy. I'm sure he's very sore and probably can't move today. But incredible event, very well done. West Des Moines Chamber, kudos to you, Catherine Harrington and your staff. Unbelievable. We are so fortunate for every one of you guys that helped this event to become a success. So,
I forgot one other thing.
yes, going back to Councilwoman Hardman, I yield back the balance of my time.
Okay, is that 2 seconds? Okay, thank you. I also wanted to say, and I'm really sorry that I missed this here, but I also represented City Council on an event that took place last week regarding the war that's going on in Israel and with Hamas. And so it was a solidarity rally at the synagogue on Polk Boulevard. It was so well attended. It was so impactful, and it was actually riveting to hear the folks that are coming together and to try to pray for peace and healing and safety, and also to hear the stories and the lives that were lost and what tragedy is going on. But to be in one room and one space where everyone had a common purpose of solidarity and trying to come together for peace, it was a beautiful thing, and I was really, really glad that I was there. I ran into a lot of colleagues that I hadn't seen in a long time when I was president of the board of NCCJ, National Conference on Christian and Jews. So I was honored to be there, and it was a beautiful, beautiful solidarity rally.
Absolutely. I was sorry to have to miss that. My son had a football game that night and I couldn't miss it because I've missed every other game due to council meetings. So, but I'm very appreciative that you were there to represent the city. So, okay, Councilman McKinney.
Thank you, Mayor. I'll echo that sentiment. Councilwoman Hardin, thank you for being there. And Mayor, thank you for putting on today's agenda a resolution, recognizing Israel and everything that's contained in there. It's important to do that, especially recognizing our sister city here in the city of West Des Moines is Mate Asher, Israel. And I know that Jeff Lippman and the rest of the group have spent a lot of time thinking through how the city can best be involved. I'd also echo the comments that Mayor, you and Councilwoman Hardman made about last Saturday's event at Raccoon River Park. I'll tell you, it was a fantastic event. And I too am really excited about what is happening down there. Of course, the park is, the refresh of the playground is a really big deal. You've got the Athene pedestrian bridge going in down there. The boathouse just recently opened up. I mean, the sort of things that this community can do in the backyard, so to speak, is really incredible. And so it's exciting to see. I'll bring that up because we also had a public services meeting in the last 10 days or so, where the development that's immediately to the northwest of there has had some issues. And I think most of us have received emails about trains that are going through there at, I don't know, I'd say 2 a.m. and 4 a.m. And because of the crossing there to get into Raccoon River Park, it doesn't have arms. It doesn't have the technology, I should say, that would allow what they say is a quiet zone. And so we had come before the Public Services Council an idea we had a resident actually in attendance talk about, whether or not we could have that area be designated as a quiet zone. We heard from staff that the cost could be as little as $5,000 to be able to have that one area designated as a quiet zone. Now, I recognize there's other areas. It wouldn't fix everything, but this is an area that, we're putting in all these investments on the other side, and it's driving more traffic through there. But for the park, I don't know that there would be a crossing there. And so, great park, but one of the things about it is it is causing some, I'll say, quality of life issues on the other side of the track, so to speak. So something to be mindful of, and I think we'll continue to look at that issue. We also had an Icon Water Trails board meeting since we last met. Of course, they also had the Prairie Showdown, which is a big fundraiser for Icon Water Trails. And what was announced here in the last, couple weeks was an initiative that Icon is taking on. And of course, as a reminder, City of West Des Moines is a founding member, so to speak, of Icon. We contribute to that as a city. It's helping to activate our water trails in the area. Of course, we have our first installation happening off of 63rd and Grand, but part of what we're also doing is improving water quality. So last time I talked about how we're removing trash from the waterways. Well, now we have a new initiative and funding to help clean up water in terms of, contaminants that find their way in there. So that's something you all should know, that as part of this city, we are doing through Icon Water Trails is helping to clean the water. We also had a Des Moines Arts Festival board meeting actually this morning, and the Des Moines Arts Festival is moving forward with an initiative to provide artists more resources statewide. That'll be, this resource will be announced here in about a month, but it's just exciting to see some of the things that are happening in the arts community. And finally, we had a development and planning meeting this morning, Councilwoman Hardman and I did, and we have one developer in particular that's looking at putting, if I counted it right, roughly 200 new units, condos for sale, apartments, and other multifamily housing throughout the city. So it's exciting to see continued investment in multifamily kind of dwelling units throughout the city, and this in 3 different parcels in the area. So a lot of good things happening.
Thank you for your report, Councilman. Councilman Hudson.
Thank you, Mayor. Just a couple things. Yes, I echo comments about solidarity. I echo comments about the Raccoon River Rally, because that was a really exciting day. A really exciting day, although the weather could have been better, of course. So many folks work so hard to make the city incredible, and I'm incredibly grateful for that. Serving on the Catch Des Moines board, I think we had mentioned this, but in case we didn't, the Recplex earned the Game Changer Award from Catch Des Moines. I don't know if we mentioned that. That was a last month thing, and it was really exciting because when we talk about the Convention and Visitors Bureau, which is explicitly bringing folks into the metropolitan area, and they provide the Game Changer Award to what has become an iconic part of West Des Moines, the Mid-American Energy Company Recplex, that is run and owned and maintained by the city of West Des Moines. It's a really, really big deal. So that just means that folks around the area, around the entire community, recognize the great facility that we do have, and obviously the facilities that continue to be improved thanks to so many wonderful folks working for our city. Really, really proud of that Game Changer Award, and Mayor Trumbull loves that word, game changer. We try to say it in every meeting.
And I do. I appreciate that.
Yes. I want to echo what Councilman Loach said. Really appreciate his work and Director Stiles' work on the Finance Administration Subcommittee as we try to ensure that, I guess, the city's in good financial shape, and definitely appreciative of all the work that the Finance Department does, because we have some tough headwinds. We always have tough headwinds, but really, really appreciative of having you all at the helm. So thank you for that. Tomorrow we have a library board meeting. Last week we had a parks board meeting, or this coming week I should say. And it just makes me think of the extra mile designation, the resolution we're passing a little bit later for an extra mile. And just reading from the resolution, it just makes me appreciative of all the volunteers in the community. Because, Mayor, how many board positions do we have? 50, 60, 70, 80, 90?
I don't know the exact amount, but a lot of people step up to serve on our boards and commissions.
And these
they
folks
do
are
a
not
ton of
paid well
work.
for this.
Nope, not paid.
Not paid at all.
Oh.
Yeah, that means that we have upwards of just dozens, if not close to 100, of people who want to volunteer and give the extra mile to our community. So incredibly grateful for that. And so for all the board members in the city of West Des Moines, whatever board, Councilwoman Hardman had mentioned the Human Rights Board, excuse me. It's really, really amazing that people want to go the extra mile for our community. So.
Thank you for that, and I would agree with you on that. Not only that, but I would tell you, if you look at all these quality of life amenities that we're doing, the Mid-American Energy Company Recplex, the Jamie Hurd Amphitheater, we've got the Athene pedestrian bridge going. These are all public-private partnerships that we've been doing with incredible residents and business owners. One of them is in the community, out in the audience, right now. We couldn't do these things without our citizens, without our corporate citizens. These have been unbelievable public-private partnerships, and we appreciate our businesses and our residents stepping up to get this done for us, to have these unbelievable amenities that we can brag about so often when we go to give speeches. So anyway, have to acknowledge that as well. And with that, I'll go to City Manager Haddon for his report.
Speaking of boards and commissions, the budget team consisting of myself, Jamie Lutzring, Tim Stiles, Chris Hamlin, and Laura Ravelis will be making road shows to all our boards and commissions who want to hear about House File 718, which is a new legislation passed last year, or this year, earlier in the year, which is has some significant impact on cities. And it presents challenges and opportunities, and we will be giving the presentation. We've given the presentation to each of you. And we're anxious to do that and hear what they have to say, but I think we'll get a lot of good, they want to be informed, and that's really a good sign. I'm not sure, but this is pretty new. The REAP grant of $200,000 that Parks and Rec received for the getting on the river, the Raccoon River at 63rd and the Raccoon River, and it's a joint project with Polk County. It's a really good deal to join together to make our resources go further. And mostly, of course, kayaks are dominating the world now. Canoes are becoming a thing of the past, but it's conjunction with Councilman McKinney said about the water trail system. And I think that's it for right now. Thank you.
All right, thank you for your report. Moving on to item 4, consent agenda. Are there any items that any council person would like to have pulled and voted on separately? We will pull item 4H.
Okay.
It's the resolution for support of the State of Israel. We'll pull that, and we will get a motion in a second, and I will read that resolution. Any other items? Otherwise, I would take a motion to,
Yeah, can we read the proclamation as well?
I thought that's,
Well, no, 4H is the support of the State of Israel, and then there's a proclamation.
okay, the proclamation for extra mile.
Yes.
Okay, yes, okay. So we got 4H and 4P we will pull. Can I get a motion to approve the remainder?
Move the remainder.
Okay. Moved and seconded, please vote.
5 yes.
Okay, item 4H, give me 1 second to get to it here. Okay, item 4H, again, is approval of resolution of support for the State of Israel. Can I get a motion to approve the resolution?
So move.
Okay, it's been moved. It's been moved and seconded. Okay, I'm going to read the resolution. Whereas on October 7, 2023, Hamas terrorists launched a coordinated, unprovoked attack on Israel from the Gaza Strip. And whereas Hamas has fired thousands of rockets towards Israel's major population centers, breached Israel's borders, infiltrated Israeli communities, and kidnapped over 130 civilians from numerous nations, killed more than 1,200 Israelis, including babies, children, and the elderly, and wounded over 1,000 more. And whereas 27 Americans have been declared dead at the hands of Hamas. And whereas this is the most significant attack on Israel since the Yom Kippur War, which was launched 50 years ago, nearly to the day, and whereas more than 360,000 reserve soldiers were called to defend the state of Israel, and Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu declared that Israel was at war to defend itself, now therefore be it resolved by the mayor and council of the city of West Des Moines, Iowa, as follows: that the city of West Des Moines unequivocally condemns Hamas for this deplorable and unprovoked attack on Israel. That the city of West Des Moines stands in solidarity with the state of Israel and condemns this unprovoked attack by Hamas against Israel and its citizens, and supports Israel's right to defend itself and protect its citizens from indiscriminate violence and terrorism. That the city of West Des Moines unequivocally supports the right of the state of Israel to exist as a sovereign and independent nation with the full recognition of its borders and territory, and that this resolution shall take effect immediately from and after its passage in accordance with the provisions of the city of West Des Moines, and it is accordingly so resolved, passed and approved this 16th day of October, 2023. Okay, any discussion?
I think we have the, vice chair of the Jewish Federation here that we'd love to present this to.
Yep.
Who came
Why
out
don't
once
we-
it's voted on.
Yep, why don't we vote, and then we will go down in front and take a picture. Okay, please vote.
Five yes.
Okay, why don't we go down front and take a picture quick? For anybody who doesn't know, this is Phil Bloomberg. He's the president of the Jewish Federation. So, would you hold this? Okay, we're going to go now to item 4P, which is a proclamation for Extra Mile Day, declaring November 1st, 2023 as Extra Mile Day by the Extra Mile America Foundation. Can I get a motion to approve the proclamation?
So moved.
Second.
Okay, it's moved and seconded, and I will read the proclamation. Whereas West Des Moines is a community which acknowledges that a special vibrancy exists within the entire community when its individual citizens collectively go the extra mile in personal effort, volunteerism, and service. And whereas West Des Moines is a community which encourages its citizens to maximize their personal contribution to the community by giving of themselves wholeheartedly and with total effort, commitment, and conviction to their individual ambitions, family, friends, and community. And whereas West Des Moines is a community which chooses to shine a light on and celebrate individuals and organizations within its community who go the extra mile in order to make a difference and lift up fellow members of their community. And whereas West Des Moines acknowledges the mission of Extra Mile America to create 550 extra mile cities in America and is proud to support Extra Mile Day on November 1st, 2023, now, therefore, I, Russ Trimble, Mayor of the City of West Des Moines, Iowa, do hereby proclaim November 1st, 2023 to be Extra Mile Day. And I urge each individual in the community to take time on this day to not only go the extra mile in his or her own life, but to also acknowledge all those who are inspirational in their efforts and commitment to make their organizations, families, community, country, or world a better place. Signed this 16th day of October, 2023. Okay, please vote.
5 yes.
Okay, item 5, old business. Item 5A, Southwoods Knoll, 4855, 4865, 4875, and 4885 Mill Civic Parkway. Amend the Southwoods Knoll Planned Unit Development Ordinance to designate zoning to allow retail within PUD Parcel E. Charles I. Colby and Ruth Colby Trust, number 2. We have got an ordinance for approval, the second reading, waiver the third reading, and adoption in final form. There are no outstanding issues and no change from the previous reading, which was adopted unanimously 4-0 with Trevelyan absent.
Motion to consider second reading?
Okay, is there a second?
Second.
Okay, it's been moved and seconded. Any discussion? Okay, hearing none, please vote.
5 yes. An ordinance amending the city code of the city of West Des Moines, Iowa, 2019, in ordinance numbers 933, 1099, 1149, 1215, 1274, 1383, 1421, 1460, 1581, 1636, 1695, 1803, 1900, and 1974, pertaining to Plan Unit Development District regulations and guidelines.
Motion to approve the second reading?
Second.
Okay, please vote.
5 yes.
Motion to waive the third reading and adopt in final form?
Second.
Okay, please vote.
5 yes.
Okay, item 5B, Wirtz Property, PUD, 875 South 50th Street, amend the Wirtz Property Planned Unit Development Ordinance to adjust minimum required lot size within PUD parcels R2 Holdings LLC. We've once again got an ordinance for approval, the second reading, waiver the third reading, adoption of final form. There are no outstanding issues and no changes from the previous reading, which again was approved unanimously by the council.
Motion to consider the second reading.
Okay, is there a second?
Second.
Okay, any discussion? Okay, hearing none, please vote.
5 yes. An ordinance amending the city code of the city of West Des Moines, Iowa, 2019, and ordinance numbers 1086, 1313, 1485, 1500, 1513, 1572, and 2383, pertaining to Plan Unit Development District regulations and guidelines.
Motion to approve the second reading.
Second.
Okay, please vote.
5 yes.
Motion to waive the third and adopt in final form.
Second.
Okay, please vote.
5 yes.
Okay, item 5C, ordinance amendment, amend Title 9 zoning to modify regulations pertaining to uses permitted in open space zoning district and amusement and recreational services, uses in non-residential zoning districts, city initiated. We've got an ordinance for approval, the second reading, waiver the third reading, adoption of final form. There are no outstanding issues. This was approved unanimously at the last council meeting, as were the last couple items. This is also the item that the Stolls have requested that we defer on.
Motion to defer.
Okay, this motion's been made to defer on this item, Kevin, until the next council meeting, or?
I would say indefinitely until we can make sure we've got everything worked out on this.
Yeah, I was going to agree. I think I want to take special consideration for the situation that came
What-
up here. And I don't know if we'll discuss it up here or.
Why don't we defer to a date certain? And then if we need to defer again, we can do that. But I think it would be better to defer to maybe the next council meeting.
I would defer to the second council meeting in November. That's a month, roughly.
Okay?
We also
Okay, so-
are in the process of updating our zoning ordinances generally. We could defer it as to, I don't know when that's happening. I know we had some people here, if it was
Okay.
at the end of this year or the end of,
Okay, motions are made to defer to the second council meeting in November, which is November 20th.
Second.
Is there a second?
Second.
Okay, it's been moved and seconded. Any discussion, including from staff?
I do have, yeah, it looks like Lynn wants to make a few comments.
Okay,
or-
come on up, Lynn.
I'd be curious to figure out about the letters.
While Lynn's
Yes.
coming up, I want to just make a comment,
Understand.
like, this is in my ward, so I appreciate the Stolls coming in and talking. It was not on my radar as something. I do have a soft place in my heart for ag land. My family owns a Century Farm, so I understand your concern with it. So I appreciate bringing it to our attention.
Okay.
Go ahead, Lynn.
Lynn Tweed, Director of Development Services. As you recall, kind of what sparked this was somewhat the Nazarene Church Camp, which is open space. But I think what you need to keep in mind with this zoning code amendment, it only applies to the green ground on this map. So if it's the bright green or if it's this light green, that is the only ground that we are talking about that this would apply to.
And are the Stoll's properties zoned yellow?
No.
I mean, is it single
actually-
family or is it
Actually,
green?
they are a kind of a weird one, which I'd have to do some
Okay.
research on to try to figure out. They are right in here.
Wow.
Which I don't know
Okay.
why this was not put to yellow and everything south of the river kept as open space. The simplest thing really to do is take the Stolls to a residential estate district, which then brings back pretty much everything that they're wanting to do. But if you recall, we kind of took this amendment on because of the Nazarene Church camp and the idea of some of those things that can happen in open space. As you can see, most of our open spaces, our park ground is right along the river.
Yeah.
It's the West Moyne, or it's the waterworks, the old quarries that are being used as water sources. So this was really being done to keep those uses from happening in these areas because they are open space. If they're permitted in my code today, we will have a hard time stopping them. So that is really what this ordinance amendment is about. I have no problems with what the Stolls are mentioning of trying to bring back in a Century Farm provision, some kind of provision. Chances are it should have been put, the Stolls property should be put to a residential classification. And then we can address it that way.
So there shouldn't be an issue then remedying this specific situation and maybe
I don't
some type
think
of
so.
search to see if there's anybody else impacted in a similar
Yeah,
way?
and even the Widderns, you can, most of the Widderns ground is down here in the southeast
Yeah.
area. You can see it's all actually zoned a different, it's.
Can you pull
zoned
that
to
map up
residential.
so I can, where is the Widderns?
Most of the Widderns ground is in here. They have some out in the rural areas, but this only applies to things that are in the corporate limits. We cannot zone outside of the city.
But if they get annexed in and it becomes part of the city and it is a farm, then they're impacted by this action that's on the.
Potentially. But
And-
chances are, we don't, I won't say we never will. We really shouldn't be out annexing ground just to have it sit in our city and not be developed. So chances are, we're not going to run out there and
But
annex
multiple,
their farm
but,
ground.
but isn't it true that land gets annexed in even though those people don't want it? Land around them gets annexed in, and because it's, meets the percentage threshold, they get pulled in as well, and then they would be negatively impacted. That's why I'm asking for a 30-day hold on this so that we can make sure that we've got everything addressed on this so that we get it right instead of having to go back again and whoops, we forgot about that one.
Yeah.
What is a month going to hurt us?
Yeah, I think your simpler answer is if we want to do that, where we think we are going to be annexing, is we create truly an ag zoning district. And then we put that on the map as where that would be.
I don't have a
And that
problem with
can
that
be
either. But again, I think we need to make sure that we've got this right. And what will 30 days hurt?
I don't know, who has open space ground that could develop it with something that we don't want? That's the risk we take.
That risk isn't any more today than it was yesterday.
Right.
Oh, but it really wasn't brought onto our kind of radar until the Nazarene Church camp came about.
Right, and we've had a lot of open space up until that point. So again, I just think we need to pause on this for 30 days and make sure that we've got everything right on this and then move forward with it.
Yeah. I mean, staff is doing exactly you're doing exactly what we asked you to do. And you've done that, and we appreciate that. And now we're seeing a little bit of maybe a problem and an unintended consequence, and that we just need to iron out. I don't know that we need a month to do it, but that's the motion, and that's the motion on the table, but.
Lynn, why were letters not sent out? Because this is a zoning change, correct?
This is just a city code change. When it is
But it's-
city-
but it's
when it
the
is a-
same-
When it is a city code change, the policy is that you do not send out letters to anyone.
I can
But
speak to that too, Kevin, if you want. Legally speaking, when it's a code that affects everyone in the city of West Des Moines, it's just published. So state law only requires that publication be made, and when we make a change to something that affects all open space zonings, we don't identify the owners of every single open space zoning property in the city of West Des Moines. The staff time on that would be astronomical. If you did that for any time you changed everything that affected all single-family zoning or some other zoning district, your cost for mailing out to those citizens and the staff time involved would simply be too much for staff to handle. State code does not require it, or city code does not require it.
I understand city code doesn't require it, maybe state doesn't require it, but I think morally, that would have been the right thing to do, because we don't have, I don't believe we've got that much landowners of open space that we shouldn't have reached out to them, because you can call it what you want, it's changing what's allowed on their property, which is basically the same as a zone change. So I just think it should have been addressed. I think we need to look at these things, with a different set of glasses next time, rather than saying, well, state law does not require it. I don't agree with that. But again, I don't know what 30 days is going to hurt.
Yeah, and we can do that. Keep in mind, though, what we are saying, if they are doing these activities today, they get to continue to do them, even though we're changing.
But by agricultural, they can, if they're not doing something today, next week, next month, they can do it. And what we're saying is, you can't do it. And that's where I've got the concerns, because if it's agricultural, it allows a multitude of things. Just because they're not doing it today doesn't mean they shouldn't be able to continue to do that, or do that in the future. I mean.
Nobody's going to go out and start an ag business in November.
Who knows, I might, I don't know anything about ag.
So you won't do it in 30 days.
I think I want to make sure these folks get their concern addressed. I don't think waiting 2 more meetings is going to harm anything, so.
Also, Lynn, I'm going to go ahead and assume that when you took a look at changing this code, there's so much green space, as you just showed us on the map. I'm going to go ahead and assume that you weren't deliberately looking at this piece of land and wanting to make that change. And so without informing the Stolls. So yeah, I think this was just, there was so much and yes, I think, as Kevin said, it's nice to have that obligation, but in this case, there was so much to be looked at. And it seems this was one very, very specific instance that maybe was unexpected.
But a lot of that green space, correct, is city or county or state land, right?
It's
Which would have been-
quarries, it's Raccoon River Kennels, it's a variety of landowners, by all means. I mean, it's all intended to kind of be that open space, more recreational, kept natural areas is really what it amounts, like I said, minus the stalls, which is kind of an anomaly to what the map does.
Can I?
All right, Councilman McKinney.
Thank you. This did come before it came before
Development
a subcommittee.
yeah.
And I know we did have a conversation on it, and I appreciate the Stolls bringing this up. When we went through the comp plan, I think there was a mailing that went out to impacted landowners about how their land use, not their zoning, but their land use designation would change. So we did a mailing relative to that. And I can appreciate the comments that have been made today about, well, this isn't a zoning change. But I'm curious, how difficult would it be to provide notice? I'm just thinking, when you go south of the river and you go on Grand Prairie Parkway and you go out there on Veterans Parkway, I see a lot of farm ground out there, right? South and, along Highway 5. And I don't know how much of that, when I see farm ground, I see ag. And when I hear ag, I think open space. And if this is all it is it hard to notify?
Can I be honest on that? I don't think it probably isn't hard, but the problem is we set a precedent then, and then anytime we do this, like Jessica said, now we're going to be required to do this for everything else that we do in the city, and I don't think we want to set that precedent. This might be easy, the next one may not be, and it would be very costly from a mailing standpoint and notification and everything else. This one we probably could do, but that precedent is what we
And again,
probably need to watch.
Most of that ag ground is not in the city. They are not impacted by this ordinance because we cannot apply our rules to the city or to the county ground.
But to Councilman Trevillion's point, what does happen if we do end up annexing them? Then they are impacted.
They would be impacted by this, yes.
But
How far out do we go?
Lynn, we don't always zone a property when we annex it. There are a lot of times that it remains unzoned and it just has land use. But the other piece to this that I think was kind of glossed over is we do not currently have just an ag zoning district where it is truly ag, the property is being used as ag land, which quite frankly, is a lot of times separate and distinct from what you would normally think of as the green color on the map, the open space. So from what I'm hearing from the council is that is something that is desired to be looked at by the consultant who's doing the zoning code. Quite frankly, that's probably a better, besides the residential estate zoning district, which does allow a lot of what the Stolls are asking for, that would probably be a better option. I don't see that zoning district being used a lot in the city. There's a reason why we don't allow chickens and outside animals on properties in West Des Moines, except for in residential estate lot zoning, because of the size of the properties. You need those to be large so the impacts of those activities do not impact your neighbors. So these conversations have come up, and I do thank you, Mayor, for bringing up the precedent. That was what I was going to say. So that is the issue that you will run into, is if you start notifying each individual property owner on matters that affect the city as a whole. The reason that we have the specific mailings on, say, like your item on the ones you just approved, is because the city has adopted rules that when a specific property has a change to a PUD, we are going to notify people within 370 feet, I believe. And so it's to everyone that is impacted. The way that you notify those individuals that are impacted by something that applies to the city as a whole, quite frankly, is by the publication. Now, I know that's imperfect because it's in a newspaper, but it sounds like if you move forward with the deferral, we can work with the Stolls on remedying their situation specifically. It might be different than what is applied to the city as a whole, or there's an exemption for Century Farms, and then also at the same time pursue this potential ag zoning designation separately that would come before the council in the future.
Councilman McKinney.
Yeah, I guess I'd just come back to the, I can appreciate what you're saying about setting precedent, but I'm also mindful of, you're talking about individual properties that are going to be significantly impacted by this. And if it were a minor change, a 1-foot setback change or something like this, that's one thing, but there are, I don't know, dozens of pages of changes that are contemplated here. This isn't just like a small change only related to cattle, only related to livestock. It's related to, I would venture to guess, 100 or more changes, which is a pretty significant change to a property owner's right. And so to me, when you do something that material, this is not an insignificant, inconsequential change. This is a material and significant change that, to me, warrants a particular, each of those property owners being provided notice that, hey, today you can do 300 different things, and under this law that's going to be passed, or this ordinance, you can do 10. And to say that that's, well, we can't notify them because that's precedent, I think it's bad precedent to not notify those homeowners of such a, or those landowners of such a significant change.
Well, if that's kind of what you're saying, I'm wondering about past president, Mr. Mayor, Councilman Trevelyan, since it's been over a decade and whatnot since you both have been on council and mayor. Let's just hypothetical for a second. If the Stolls never got notice or something, and then they find out a year from now, or so, and they come back to us. What's precedent been about saying, we didn't realize this would affect you and your property so greatly, and then a year later, would it be appropriate to make that change there?
I think the only thing they could do at that point is ask for a rezoning of their property to something that would allow them to do what they were wanting to do but no longer can do. I think that'd be very difficult, but that's something that we could look at as a council.
I only ask because that just leaves those two options pretty much. Either we're proactive about it, as Councilman McKinney said, and on serious changes like the one that was in front of us, then yes, those property owners would be notified, or we retroactively have to deal with things a year or two later when people randomly drip, the information finally comes to them, and then we're dealing with, I assume, significantly more unhappy Stolls who come to the meeting like, whoa, what? How come I wasn't notified? And then we have to retroactively make that change. I'm not trying to create a false dichotomy. Is that the two options?
I mean, I think those are the options. You'd have to look, somebody comes in after the fact, tries to do something, they're told they can't do it because the zoning has changed in regards to the, open space. They come petition the council to, grant them some sort of an exception, a waiver, or I think that's all they would be able to do at that point in time.
And I think given what's happened over the last 14 years on council, I think it would be, well, I guess as a landowner, you should have been more proactive on what was going to be taking place, whatnot, and I think it would be, sorry.
If I could
change that.
add to that, so I know nobody's going to want to hear what I have to say, but we talked about this that's why the lawyer's here, right? When we did the comp plan, but just to remind the council, and anyone who's here, you do not have the rights to use your property in the manner, on all of the ways that you can do it, unless you are actually using your property in that manner. You do not gain that vested right. I do think I can see a reason to protect ag uses separately, so take, I guess specifically the Stolls maybe out of this, or the whole protection of ag uses out of this. For your example, if you had, we changed that you could put recreational facilities in different commercial zoning districts. Let's say we did that. We added that, we opened it up, and so you limited it to certain things. That impacts all citizens in the city of West Des Moines, because then you are changing the way in which properties can be used next to them. And when you make a change to the zoning code, that impacts everyone in that zoning district the same. As long as the council finds that there is a public purpose to do so, those changes are valid, and anyone who's using their property in a manner that is now prohibited, if they're legally established, they get to continue it. If they sell their property, the buyer gets to continue to use the property in that manner. Dr. Vicki Long-Hill would know very, very well about Birch Auto that operates and has operated under many different ownership, and that is not a legal use if somebody were to establish it today, but it is continued to be used in that manner as a non-conforming use. So we did not take,
Non-conforming.
it did not take any right away from that property owner who had established that use as of the time that the zoning code was changed.
But this is something very serious, and I love where your heart's at, this entire council. That's why we are who we are. But if you're looking at changing the noticing requirement from what we do today and what code requires to something much greater, then you need to really take a look at what the fiscal impact is going to be of doing that, because it's going to be noticing everybody every time we do anything, and it is going to add up quickly. And so we pride ourselves on trying to keep West Des Moines affordable and cut taxes when responsible to do so. This is going to add a potentially significant fiscal impact when we set a precedent and have to start noticing everybody on every single thing we do.
But haven't we done that, though, with the fiber
Comp plan?
conduit? Didn't we notify everybody on that one? I mean, I think we're doing this in some instances. I just don't know. Yeah, we're sending
I think
cards
we-
out to everybody to let them know what's going, yeah.
The
So we
con,
did when we were working in their neighborhood.
yeah, the
gotten way out of
contractor might be
scope on this.
sending,
I agree. I'm
We're,
going to call for the question.
yeah, I agree.
All right, and maybe this is something that can be brought back to one of the subcommittees for a greater discussion. Not sure where it belongs. Maybe development and planning would be most appropriate for it for further discussion. All right, the question's been called on this. Please vote. Deferring to the November 20th meeting.
Five yes.
Good discussion. Appreciate the thorough, robust discussion on this important issue. Okay. Moving on to item 6, public hearings, item 6A. Item 6A, we're being asked to defer this to the November 6th council meeting.
Motion to defer.
And I would ask, can we defer
Second.
this one to November 20th instead of the 6th? Would council object to that? Would staff, is that okay if we do that, staff?
Based on,
boy,
I just prefer that this go to the November 20th.
so
A little more time on that.
is that just giving the P and Z a little bit more time to
Yeah.
take action on this item?
Yep.
That'd be fine.
Okay,
that's fine.
okay.
Motion to move it to November 20th.
Okay, is there a second?
Second.
Okay, it's moved and seconded. Any discussion? Hearing none, please vote.
5 yes.
Okay, item 6B, we're being asked to defer the public hearing also to the November 20th council meeting to allow additional time to refine the proposed language.
Motion to defer.
Second.
Okay, it's been moved and seconded. Any discussion? Okay, hearing none, please vote.
November 20th, we'll be busy.
5 yes.
Item 6C, we're being asked to defer this public hearing to the special council meeting on October 23rd.
Motion to defer.
Okay, it's been moved. Is there a second? Moved and seconded. Please vote.
5 yes.
Okay, item 6D, this is the time and place for a public hearing to consider amendment number 5 to the Fuller Road Urban Renewal Plan initiated by the city of West Des Moines. Ryan, would you please read the date the notice is published?
October 6, 2023 in the Des Moines Register.
And have we received any written comment to this hearing?
None, Your Honor.
Okay, anybody from the audience who would like to address the council on item 6D, please come to the podium here, give us your name, address, the record. Anybody online, please hit *6 to unmute yourself and do the same. Is there anybody in the audience or online that would like to address the council on item 6D? Okay, seeing no movement and hearing no one, I'm going to declare the public hearing closed. We've got a resolution for approval of amendment number 5 to the Fuller Road Urban Renewal Plan, and there are no outstanding issues. Somebody want to move approval of the resolution?
So moved.
Okay, it's been moved. Is there a second?
Second.
It's moved and seconded. Any discussion?
Where is this going to be located at? I mean, in the Fuller Road Urban Renewal doesn't really tell me anything, but we already have a DEGH LLC, so somebody apparently knows where this is going to be at.
Okay, we've got Brad coming up.
Brad Munford, staff. Unfortunately, it was not included in the staff report, but it's 1924 Fuller Road.
Okay. Thank you.
1924.
Okay, thank you. I was just curious.
Okay, any other discussion, any other comments, questions? Okay, hearing none, please vote.
Four yes, 1 no.
Okay, item 6E, we are being asked to defer the public hearing to the November 6th council meeting to allow more time for the agreement to be finalized.
Move to defer.
Okay, is there a second? It's been moved and seconded. Please vote.
Five yes.
Okay, item 6F. This is the time and the place for a public hearing to consider budget amendment number 1 to the FY 23-24 city operating and capital budgets initiated by the city of West Des Moines. Ryan, would you please read the date the notice was published?
October 6, 2023 in the Des Moines Register.
And have there been any written comments to this hearing?
None, Your Honor.
Okay, anybody in the audience who would like to address the council on item 6F or anybody online, please come to the podium, give us your name and address for the record. If you're online, hit *6 to unmute yourself. Okay, seeing and hearing no one, I'll declare the public hearing closed. We have got a resolution approving the budget amendment number 1 to the FY 23-24 city operating capital budgets. There are no outstanding issues, and this was reviewed and approved thoroughly by the Finance and Administration City Subcommittee and approved unanimously.
Move for approval.
Second.
Okay, it's been moved and seconded. Any discussion?
As always, want to thank Chris and Tim and the entire team for their diligence in looking over how our budgetary needs change as they ebbs and flows of monies and whatnot. So I just wanted to say thank you. And this is how we move the city forward financially. That's what we need to do. So grateful for their work.
All right. Any other discussion?
I agree with Councilman Hudson. As I stated earlier, I'm always continuously impressed with how we manage our money. So especially when there are other municipalities in our near area that are going to be piercing their debt ceilings and things like that, I'm glad that we're in good shape.
Absolutely, and thank you guys both on Finance Administration for all the work you do there before this even gets to the council. Okay, with that, please vote.
Five yes.
Okay, item 6G. This is the time and place for a public hearing to consider 2023 playground replacement projects at Crossroads, J.C., and Kiwanis Parks initiated by the City of West Des Moines. Ryan, would you please read the date the notice is published?
September 15th, 2023, in the Des Moines Register.
And have we received any written comments of this hearing?
None, Your Honor.
Okay, anybody from the audience who would like to address the council on item 6G, please come to the podium, give us your name and address for the record. Anybody online, hit star 6 to unmute yourself. Okay, seeing no one, hearing nothing, I will declare the public hearing closed. We've got two resolutions and a motion, which we can take at the same time. There are no outstanding issues, and this was reviewed and approved unanimously by the Public Services City Council Subcommittee.
Motion for approval.
Second.
Okay, it's a moved and seconded. Any discussion? Okay, please vote.
Five yes.
Okay, item 6H, this is the time and the place for a public hearing to consider construction of Stagecoach Drive from South 78th Street to South 81st Street, initiated by the City of West Des Moines. Ryan, would you please read the date the notice is published?
September 29th, 2023, in the Des Moines Register.
And have we received any written comment to this hearing?
None, Your Honor.
Okay, anybody from the audience who would like to address the council on item 6H, please come to the podium, give us your name and address for the record. Anybody online, hit star 6 to unmute yourself. Okay, seeing no takers, I will declare the public hearing closed. And once again, we've got two resolutions and a motion, which we can take at the same time. There are no outstanding issues. And this was also reviewed and approved unanimously by the Public Services City Council Subcommittee.
Motion to approve.
Second.
Okay, it's moved and seconded. Any discussion? Okay, please vote.
Five yes.
Okay, item 7, new business. Item 7A, Amara Vida at High Point, southwest corner of the future intersection of Stagecoach Drive and South 81st Street. Approve a preliminary plat to create 60 footprint lots for multifamily residential development and approve a site plan to allow construction of 60 detached townhomes, Maven Crux Development. We have got a resolution for approval of the preliminary plat and site plan. There are no outstanding issues. The applicant is in agreement with all staff recommendations. This item was also reviewed and approved unanimously by both Development and Planning as well as Planning and Zoning. Can I get a motion to approve the resolution, and then I'll open it up to see if anybody from the audience would like to comment.
Motion to approve.
Okay.
Second.
It's been moved and seconded. Is there anybody from the audience that would like to address the council on item 7A or online? Please hit star 6 to unmute yourself and give us your name and address for the record. Okay, is there any discussion at the dais? Okay, please vote.
Five yes.
Item 7B, Brew DMC, 103 South 11th Street, approve level 1 minor modification to site plan to allow site modifications to implement a brewery and restaurant use. Justin Clark, Lotus Homes LLC. We have a resolution for approval of a level 1 minor modification to the site plan. There are no outstanding issues, and the applicant is in agreement with the staff recommendation regarding the parking requirements. Can I get a motion to approve the resolution? Then I'll open it up to the public.
So moved.
Okay, is there a second?
Second.
Okay, it's been moved and seconded. Is there anybody in the audience that would like to address the council on item 7B or online? If so, hit star 6 to unmute yourself. Okay, is there any discussion from the council? Okay, hearing none, please vote.
Five yes.
Okay, item 7C, plat of survey parcel 23-85, southwest corner of the future intersection of South 81st Street and Stagecoach Drive. Approved plat of survey to create a 14.95 acre parcel for the transfer of ownership, High Point Group LLC. We've got a resolution for approval and release of the plat of survey. There are no outstanding issues, and the applicant is in agreement with all staff recommendations. Can I get a motion to approve the resolution and a second? Then I'll open it up to the public.
So move.
Second.
Is there a second?
Second.
Okay, it's moved and seconded. Anybody from the audience would like to address council on item 7C? Okay, any discussion from the council? Okay, please vote.
Five yes.
Okay, item 7D, resolution, approve the request for proposals and set dates for receiving proposals, for selecting a proposal, and for holding a public hearing on the sale of city-owned property locally known as 1205 and 1207 Locust Street. We've got a resolution to set a public hearing to sell city-owned property at these two addresses, and for staff to issue an RFP for demolition of the two properties, subdivision of the two lots the property stood on into 3 lots, and the construction of 3 homes to be sold to 3 low and moderate income buyers at or below 80% of AMI. Can I get a motion to approve the resolution?
Motion to approve.
Okay, is there a second? It's been moved and seconded. Anybody from the audience that would like to address the council on 7D or online, hit *6 to unmute. Okay, seeing and hearing no one from the audience, any discussion from the council?
Yes.
Okay, Councilman Trevilian.
All right. I don't know if any of you have looked at these properties on the council. I have. These properties should never have been bought by the city. I repeat, should never have been bought with city tax dollars. What the goal of this was a good idea. The execution fell flat on its face. It wasn't until after the city bought these properties that then we went out to Home Inc., Habitat for Humanity, and whoever else to say, hey, we own these, would you be interested in doing it? And they're like, no. So we're stuck with them. It's my understanding in talking with Christina that a property owner west of these properties was interested, and probably still is interested, in purchasing this and rehabbing the house for themselves to live in. Have we reached out to them to find out if they're interested? Because we paid $225,000 for this. Now we're going to spend $100,000, and I might add, whoever owned these is still laughing at the city for the amount of money they got for them, because these properties are horrible. Okay? Then we're going to spend another $100,000 of city taxpayer dollars to bulldoze these houses. And again, it was horrible. So have we reached out to that property owner, or have we reached out to anybody to say, hey, we own these, is anybody interested? Because I know there's one not far from here that was probably in about the same condition that was totally rehabbed. So it can be done.
Christine Gordon, Housing Community Development Manager. We have not opened it up to the public. The purpose of the program was to have a lower moderate income person purchase the properties. So we went not with for-profit developers, we talked to nonprofits. That is their specialty, and that's who they sell to. So we did not open up to the general public because that was not the intent of the program when we purchased the homes.
Right, but it was also the intent that we were gonna rehab these and then sell them. So again,
It was.
we put the cart before the horse. So why can't we now put it out to the general public? Because if this guy's interested in buying it, we're gonna save $100,000 because we're not gonna bulldoze them. And 2, it gets it back on the tax rolls, and maybe we'll recoup some of our $225,000, even if it's 50 cents on the dollar. It's better than what we're gonna have here.
Christine, isn't
So
this
there's a couple
federal
of different
monies?
ways to look at this. Again, if the intent is not to sell, the intent of the entire program was to take single-family rental units out of that neighborhood because there was an overabundance of them. So the intent will still be there. We will have 3 brand-new homes valued at far greater than these 2 existing homes, when you talk about the tax rolls. On average, these homes that are built by the nonprofits appraise at $250,000, $270,000. So we will have 3 of those on the tax rolls instead of 2 homes that won't be even anywhere close to that.
And how long does it take to recoup $325,000, Tim, on the tax dollars that we're gonna get? Or Christine, whoever can answer that.
I
30 years,
cannot
40
answer
years,
that,
80 years?
but the intent of the program was to have more single-family owner-occupied properties. And that will be there at a cost, I agree, at a cost.
And I do want to say, we have to remember something here. I am extremely proud of us for these housing programs. These housing programs are meant to revitalize our affordable housing stock, to beautify the neighborhoods down in Valley Junction, historic West Des Moines, and to help low and moderate income buyers get into their first home. This is a pilot. These are pilot programs. Pilot programs. These are trial basis. No other city that I know of in the state are doing these programs. I know Des Moines has some Invest DSM that's similar, but we have acknowledged that we need to preserve our affordable housing stock, that we need to have more workforce housing, we need to beautify the neighborhoods down there. These programs are aimed at doing that. Nobody else is doing it. It's been wildly successful. We've heard from the Valley Junction residents down there that they want less rentals and more owner-occupied homes, single-family homes. Christine has put in a ton of work identifying properties that are not kept up and are noted as that on the assessor's website. And this is what this program is aimed at doing. We are not going to be perfect in a pilot program. We are going to have some problems. We're going to have some mistakes. We're going to have some things go wrong, and we're going to readjust from there. But I am proud that we are doing this. I think that this is a really ingenious solution to the situation that we find ourselves in. I appreciate the out-of-the-box, big-thinking solution here. I'm not saying, Councilman, that you're wrong, okay? This is maybe something that in trying this program and trying to do better for affordable housing and low and moderate income Iowans in our community, we had something that didn't go the way we thought it was going to go. But this corrects that, and we have 3 new affordable housing units in Valley Junction that are owner-occupied. So it's not all lost. I think this is going to be a good thing. And this is also a public-private partnership. We went out there, we raised a bunch of money from financial institutions in our community who supported us. One of those was West Bank, who's the oldest business in the city of West Des Moines. They put $350,000 into this program. They believe in it. The program is working. So it's not going to be perfect, but I think this is a reasonable solution to the situation that we find ourselves in, and I applaud the outside-the-box thinking.
So will 3 houses fit on this, or are we going to have to reduce the lot sizes to make it work? Because initially, when we met down there, you said we were going to have to reduce the lot sizes to make this work.
We've done a lot of work on that, and you'll see in your packet, there is a suggested plat. We work with Development Services so that no variances will be needed, and 3 single-family houses can be put on that land there.
With no change in setbacks or anything else?
No variances required.
Be interesting to see what they look like.
Yep, and let me ask this, because Councilman, you do have a point. What if, let's say we go out for RFP and, and the council wanted this to stay, they thought it was really important to be nonprofit, not have for-profit developers bidding on these things and potentially being able to make money, or it just was a feeling of impropriety, right? So this is nonprofit. But what happens, let's say we go out there, again, this is all pilot project, we're learning. What if we go out there and the RFP gets put out and we have no takers? At that point in time, do we come back to the council and maybe ask to go a different route and put this open to the public at large and at least sell the lots and have somebody put homes on them, or?
Certainly, we could do that. My understanding is we cannot restrict it just to nonprofits because of the way the entire city urban renewal area is stated. But the RFP is written in front of you. You'll see that the developer is going to be someone who knows that population, who's going to know the population of 80% or less area median income. So it's unlikely that a for-profit developer is going to want to build the type of house that that population can afford.
It's very difficult to.
So we cannot specifically restrict it to nonprofits.
Okay.
But the criteria that's set in there is written in such a way that likely the nonprofits are going to be the ones to respond.
Sure.
And I have spoken to nonprofits, and they have said that they likely will
They've got some
respond.
interest. Okay.
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah, because they get everything for free.
So, okay. Any other discussion? Councilwoman Hardman.
I don't want to
Go ahead.
No, I want to say, first of all, I really appreciate the discussion here. I too want to reemphasize my commitment. When I ran 6 years ago, I think I put it right on my brochure that I'm running because West Des Moines needs more affordable housing. I put it on there. At the demise of some people that I talked to out there that said that's going to be one of the worst things that I can run on. But I said, that's my issue. And so, one of them, okay, because it's important. And so I too think that we have made a decision in this pilot program to give this a whirl and to see how we can make it work with the intent of trying to make sure that West Des Moines is moving the needle in the way that it can toward affordable housing. And so we may not have everything perfect the way it should be, but our intent and our notion is to create opportunities for revitalization, more owner-occupied homes, but yet creating opportunities for affordable living. And I call it affordable housing. We can call it workforce housing, call it whatever you want. I call it affordable housing because it's a noble term, because that's what it is. And so I think to the degree that we can continue to try to move that needle to make that happen, I think it's in the best interest of our citizens, and it's in the best interest of West Des Moines. So again, maybe the plan isn't as perfect as it needs to be, but a part of what we also want to make sure that we pay attention to here in the city of West Des Moines is the affordable housing stock to make sure this is a welcoming place for all.
Thank you, Councilwoman. Councilman McKinney.
Yep, thank you, Mayor. I echo a lot of those sentiments. I too had as a priority affordable housing out there, and it's something that I hear as I'm talking to a lot of residents. I actually was in the area in late August and went up to that house and checked it out myself. I knocked on the door, and of course nobody was there, but there was a lot of mail in the mailbox, I can tell you that. I think this program I know this program has had an impact. This is just one of a couple other areas for the West Des Moines Historic Housing Program. I think one of the key things, Mayor, that you talked about was this is a public-private partnership. This is something that the business community bought into. This is something that not just West Bank, but several banks, I know West Bank, the oldest business of any kind in the city, was a part of. And we're executing on it. I certainly believe in continuous improvement. I certainly believe that there are things that we can always do better. So I appreciate that that's being pointed out. But I think, I saw that house. It definitely needs to be improved. And I think it will help improve the neighborhood there and provide an opportunity for more affordable housing in our community.
Thank you, Councilman. Councilman Hudson.
Sure. Echoing those sentiments, because echoing is the word of the night. And I'm looking at the agreement and from the city council packet from November 7th of 2022, and just kind of refreshing of the Historic Housing Fund. And the Historic West Des Moines Housing Fund had a goal of doing exactly what were described. And we knew that we couldn't just do this in with a federal government level sort of amount when it comes to size and scope. But we're trying to make a difference when we can make a difference. And in this case, if it's 3 houses, if it's 4 houses, I think it is a difference maker, because eventually, once it's all said and done, and on November 7th, we all supported it. And Kevin, I agree that cart before the horse, there were some things that did happen. I agree wholeheartedly on that in regards to maybe we put the cart before the horse at times. But the fact that $500,000 was raised from local financial institutions, that Polk County chipped in $1 million, that our city chipped in as well, when we add up all of that money just to over $1 million, well over $1 million to do things like this specifically to let folks who might be lower income achieve the American dream. I mean, everything that we know about history in America, it's so much of it comes down to home ownership, not just because of the financial benefits, but almost the psychological benefits of owning a home. And if we've made a difference just in 2, 3, 4 families, I think it's a pilot program. And whether we go forward or not, that's a discussion for another night. But at this exact moment, I'm supportive because we've gone down this path. We have an opportunity, and that opportunity will lead to a couple of families having a home. And I think that's important.
Thank you, Councilman. The other thing that I would say is just to remind people, I think a goal that we all have is for our kids and our grandkids can go off to college, and graduate from college and come back and live and work in the community in which they were raised. This helps that get done. This is a big deal. This is for people that are 80% or less of the area median income, which for a single individual is about $55,000. If you're making $55,000 or less, you can qualify to purchase this home. These are our kids and grandkids that are graduating from college, that are coming back here, that are working entry-level jobs at one of our incredible companies in this city and are wanting to live here where they were raised. So I just think that this is, it's a very honorable, noble program. It's a pilot program. We're going to continue to refine it, make it better. We're going to learn from mistakes that we made. There's been a lot of effort put into this program, and Christine Gordon has put a ton of time and effort into making this program what it is. So I'm just very appreciative of all the work that she's done and the entire department has done. So, okay.
That's one last thing that
Yes,
I
go ahead,
want to
Councilman.
comment
Yep,
on is
yep.
that I'm all in favor of entry-level housing, low-income housing, affordable housing, whatever title you want to put on it. I'm all in favor of that, okay? That's the area that I represent in West Des Moines is Ward 1, which is where the affordable housing is in this city, okay? When I agreed to this back in November 7th, it was because we were going to sell it back to one of the nonprofits for 75 cents on the dollar, okay? We're not doing that now. And the reason is because it got so screwed up at the time, because we didn't do the homework to find out if anybody was interested in it before we bought these rat traps. So, and again, if you haven't been in these houses, go in them, okay? So that's why I'm not going to support this, because I think to spend $325,000 of city taxpayer dollars on this is ridiculous. I think we need to try to recoup more of our money back than what we're going to get by putting this out there for proposals. Because somebody's going to look at this and they're going to take it for pennies on the dollar.
I'll make one comment. Being on a finance administration, I've watched this situation evolve for a year now. I just think the intent is awesome. I think the execution was poor. And that's why we're where we're at, so.
We're not perfect. Our staff's not perfect. Our programs aren't perfect. We're going to have situations like this. We're going to make these programs better. Again, that's why it's a pilot project. It's why a pilot program. We're going to learn from our mistakes. We're going to get better. We're going to move forward. We're going to do things differently next time. Nobody's perfect. People make mistakes. But I think that the solution to this, demolishing the houses, creating 3 lots instead of 2, creating some chances for affordable housing and for people that are new entrants to the workforce to be able to move into these homes and own their home and live and work in this community. I think it's amazing. So I think this is, it's almost like the game of golf. We're in the sand trap, and now this is a good recovery, in my opinion. And we're going to be on the green, putting for a par. So thank you for all the effort that went into recovering this. Okay, with that, please vote.
Four yes, one no.
My computer's frozen up here. Okay. Item 7E, resolution to approve the authorization of a request for proposal for the renovation of the existing home at 545 8th Street and set dates for receiving proposals from interested developers for selecting a proposal and for holding a public hearing on the sale of city-owned property. Again, we've got a resolution to approve the authorization of the request for proposal for the renovation of the home, and including dates for receiving the proposal and interested developers for selected proposal from holding a public hearing on the sale of city-owned property. Can I get a motion to approve and a second, and then I'll open it up to the public.
Motion to approve.
Okay, there's been a motion. Is there a second?
Second.
Okay, it's been moved and seconded. Is there anybody from the public that would like to address the council on item 7E or online? Please hit *6 to unmute yourself. Okay, come on up, sir. Give us your name and address for the record. Please keep it to 5 minutes or under.
My name is Ryan Doyle at 4308 Ingersoll Avenue in Des Moines. I'm with Habitat for Humanity. I'm the real estate and land development manager. I'd like to speak kind of in maybe generalities here on the importance of the affordable housing in the community and the partnerships, the public-private partnerships that we've referenced. Specifically to this house, we welcome the opportunity to be able to submit a proposal for the redevelopment of it. And I will say it will be along with the proposal, but the West Des Moines Chamber of Commerce will be a partner on this proposal with us and their support of not only this, but additional services that we do provide the community in the area. So I just wanted to speak to, I can't speak to the specifics of the financials of the program or anything like that, but I can speak to the effect that it does have for the families who will be able to have a home where otherwise it wouldn't be a possibility.
So you said you are going to submit a bid on this?
We will on both RFPs, yeah, correct.
This one and the last one?
This one and the last one, correct, yeah.
But you weren't interested in it at 75% price?
So Habitat for Humanity, Home Inc. and NFC toured the properties maybe 9 months ago or so. It was our determination that the best path forward, the most economical path forward within the confines of our program was to rip the properties down and build 3 new properties. Often our internal constraints on how we rehab properties make it not cost effective to do it because of the level of repairs we end up doing, how much we have to replace to ensure that there's no deferred maintenance, there's none of these things hanging out over people's heads. We do the math on it, and I think Home Inc. and NFC were in agreement on this, that the most economical path forward and the best bang for our buck totally would be the creation of 3 new properties in the area.
But on this one, though, you are going to rehab it.
I'm sorry, this one specific, yes, we are. We'll submit a proposal to rehab the property.
But that's my point. You weren't interested in doing it at the 75% sale price.
No, again, the costs that would be necessary to do it make it non-economical at 75%, correct.
Which is why we should have talked first before we purchased. Thank you.
Thank you, Ryan.
Ryan, thank you so much for coming up and talking about this specific item. We appreciate all that you and Habitat for Humanity do. You guys do great work, and I know Councilman Trevelyan appreciates that too, because he worked on one of the first Habitat for Humanity homes and helped build a garage, took it upon himself and got people to chip in and get some materials and work on that.
All the materials and labor for that garage was donated. And the reason was because our city ordinance required the garage for a house, and Habitat doesn't build garages. And so rather than I think we were going to spend $20,000 or $25,000 is what the motion was. I said I would get volunteers and get it done, and we did.
And he did. It was an awesome, awesome thing to see. And
Mr. Rank in the back corner was one of them helping on that.
Yep. We had a lot of city employees there. I was there trying to hammer a nail into the board. It didn't go very well, but I was there.
Former city attorney was on the roofing. Absolutely.
That was a great time.
Much better as a mayor than a construction.
You don't want me building a house, okay? I will show up. Maybe I can supervise somebody. I don't know. But I will try to be there. If you're the successful bidder, I will try to be there and participate. So, all right.
So, Christina, this one is also going to go out just to low to moderate income or like Habitat or something like that, because I'm not seeing that on here. It just says that it'll go out to developers and what. So
Christine,
just
if you
just
want,
confirming
you
that it
can
has
answer.
to be sold at 80% area income.
So Kevin, I'll answer that. As Christine alluded to previously in the previous item, because of the conduit network, the city as a whole is in an urban renewal area, so we cannot specifically limit to nonprofit organizations, but we can give strong preference to nonprofit organizations and require that the housing be sold to those within the 80% AMI. So very likely, as Christine said, there's not a lot of developers that would sign up for having those additional costs and then having to turn around and sell to someone in that group. So that is why our assumption is that Habitat or similar organizations will come in as the lowest bidder on these properties.
Well, I'll just restate that I'm all in favor of low to moderate income, but again, I think we need to try to recoup more of our money off of this than what we're going to, and I think we need to just sell it on the open market.
Christine,
All
one
right,
more.
thanks for your comments, Kevin. All right, Greg.
One more question, just so I can get this broader context of financial costs of a situation like this. Ryan was up here talking about how Habitat, who's been known for building lots and lots of houses and knows the numbers game way better than I could ever hope to imagine. If I were to purchase one of these homes, and I'm going to assume that for me as a private for-profit person, if I were to do that, to rent this out, would I as a private person have to cross less Ts and dot less Is than say if Habitat would come up and renovate it as an organization versus a private?
It would be all the same.
It would all be all the same? However, Ryan, I'll just ask if you to nod your head. Does Habitat hold itself to an incredibly high level of standards that might be higher than, say, a private citizen such as myself? All right. So whereas since Habitat holds itself to such a high level of standard that a private citizen wouldn't necessarily have to hold themselves to that high of a standard, correct?
It's not going to be a simple flip, but if we're talking about 8th Street in particular, it's not going to be a simple flip. They're not going to just put lipstick on.
Right.
Right. They're going to make this house livable for 20, 30 years. That is their intent. They take care of their families and households that are moving into these homes. So they're going to make them long-term livable, not just a simple paint job.
And that is something that Habitat, that's the high standard that Habitat would be having, which is why the costs would go way up comparatively to, say, someone who is just a private citizen. Not that a private citizen couldn't do that, but that is what increases the cost to a level of cost prohibitive like nature that we're talking about.
It's a different mission.
Yes, okay. And that mission that Habitat has is a mission that I very much support in this particular case. So I just wanted to make sure the numbers are clear on why the math didn't work. Thank you, Christine.
And Christine, remind me again, we put some protections in there to keep the home affordable for a certain number of years, I believe, didn't we?
There'll be a 10-year lien on the property that has to
Okay.
be sold to someone. If Habitat does get these homes and these properties, they carry the mortgage, so there's an extra protection that they themselves carry that mortgage. So they're going to know if that home is sold and who it's sold to. So it likely will have a protection beyond its initial 10 years that we put
Okay.
on it.
Okay, thank you so much. Appreciate it. Okay, is there any further discussion on this item? Okay, great discussion. Please vote.
Four yes, one no.
Okay, item 8.
Russ,
Sorry.
before we move on, I
Sorry,
want
go
to go
ahead, Kevin.
back and reconsider 4C6. Jessica, I bring this to your attention because I've talked with the property owner via text and finally got an answer back. Let me get back to that.
Okay, so 4C6 is a
liquor license.
It's approval of liquor license for New Silk Road LLC, doing business as Heavenly Asian Cuisine and Lounge at 225 Fifth Street for a Class C retail alcohol license with catering privileges. The only thing I would, Councilman, you go ahead, and then I'm just going to make sure that we're doing proper parliamentary procedure on this.
Well, that's why I went back and reconsidered it.
Yeah, I
while
just
The meeting
don't-
was still on. That's
Right.
how you do that.
Yeah, right. I just don't know because it was part of the consent agenda. It was part of the consent agenda and all voted on as a block. And now you're trying to pull this out and vote on it separately. I'm just not sure if that can be done, to be honest.
Any item, whether it's consent or otherwise, can be reconsidered at either.
Separately,
Yes,
even though it was all voted on as en bloc.
yes.
Okay, go ahead. Go ahead, Councilman.
It's the understanding of the property owner that they've got a lease on it with Heavenly. It's his understanding that it has been subleased to someone else, and his lease does not allow for subleases. So that's my concern, is how does somebody get a liquor license when they don't have a lease? They have to have a lease to,
They do, and I'll be quite honest with you, I don't read the leases line for line because when we're presented with information, we assume, and it's a signed lease agreement, I don't read everybody's lease because that's a private matter between the owner and the lessor for them to work out.
understand that, and that's why I'm bringing this up, because it's,
If you're as council wanting to possibly reconsider this item and then possibly defer it to allow staff to do additional
That's what I
checks
wanna
on it or looking into it with ABD, I don't know what ABD does as far as the reading of, specific reading of the lease agreements. They may look into them further, but quite frankly, I'm not sure if a prohibition on subleasing would be something that ABD would consider. I just need to talk with them
right,
specifically.
and that's what I'm
so.
asking for, is to basically go back and reconsider this and defer it for at least 2 weeks so that we can,
Okay, so you need a motion, you've made a motion to reconsider item 4C6. Is there a second to reconsider the item?
I'll second that.
Okay, so this item is being reconsidered. Now you want to make a motion to defer?
I want to make a motion.
Let's first vote on the
Okay,
motion to
sorry.
reconsider.
Okay. Please vote on the motion to reconsider this item.
Five yes.
Okay, now back to Kevin to
I
make
want to
another
go,
motion.
yeah, now I want to defer this for 2 weeks so that staff can talk with the property owner and make sure that everything's on the up and up before we approve a liquor license.
Second.
Okay, and we're going to actually specifically defer this to the November 6th
Yeah, I
council
said
meeting?
2 weeks, it's probably actually more than that,
Okay.
but
3
to the
weeks.
next council meeting.
Okay, to the next council meeting, November 6th. Okay, the motion's been made to defer to November 6th. Is there a second? Okay, it's been moved and seconded. Any further discussion?
Yeah, Mayor, just curious. So, Councilman, you have information that suggests what we have here is inaccurate?
Yes.
Fair enough.
Okay, any other discussion? Councilwoman Hardman.
Okay, so we're talking about the Heavenly Asian Casino Lounge. What information that you have that the city was not aware of when they put this on here? I want to really make sure,
That
why are we singling them out?
New Silk Road does not have a lease with 225 Fifth Street, the property owner at 225 Fifth Street. And don't they have to have a lease
They have
in
to
order
have
to have a liquor
control,
license?
control and possession of the premises upon which they're asking for the liquor license.
And if they don't have a lease, they don't have
Well, if they're not the property owner, they would need some document, yes, to
for
identify.
control of the property.
Yes. And the leases are typically provided to the city, and we typically defer that they are accurate and they are a valid lease agreement if they are signed and dated and appear to be, in the ordinary course of business. They're not something that I'm going to question a private matter between a tenant and the landlord or the property owner. So it's not something, a regular check that we would have done to read the provisions of their lease agreement.
So this restaurant is open, is that correct?
I thought it was, but I'm not,
Yeah.
I don't know.
So I
thought they-
guess my, and.
Has it been
Pardon?
closed?
It's not been open, no.
Okay.
Yeah, it's
I said,
open.
I thought it
Okay, so
was.
good to know. That's good to know information. Presence matter. So I guess what I would like to do is to say, okay, if this is a legitimate business, and let's say you find out tomorrow that everything is in place. We're holding them for 2 weeks not to run their business like everybody else tries to run their business, and we're holding them at bay for 2 weeks. And so I'd like to say, if we find out tomorrow that everything's in order, that we have a conditional approval for them to run a restaurant like everybody else runs a restaurant.
When does this expire?
Okay, so that's,
It's
I
new,
appreciate the
so
point
it
being
doesn't- it's
made,
not a
and just again, from a parliamentary procedure, Kevin's made a motion, there's been a second, he would have to agree to amend his motion or withdraw his motion, or we're going to have to consider this motion before we can consider another motion.
Well, my point would be is that, to Steve Freevert's point, they are open for business, so apparently they're able to operate, they just don't have a liquor license. So it's not prohibiting them from being open.
No, it's prohibiting them if we wait 2 weeks and everything's legit, for them to operate a business like everyone else does and serving wine when people have dinner, and that's when people come in to do that. I just don't want to arbitrarily, let me finish. I just don't want to arbitrarily hold Heavenly Asian Cuisine and Lounge for 2 weeks without a liquor license to serve a glass of wine when someone's coming in and having dinner as a new restaurant when everything is kosher. I said, let's do our jobs and find that out in a day. And let's make a conditional approval if we find out that they have what they need, let them run their business. And holding them for 2 weeks, I'm not for that.
Okay.
All right.
Greg, do you want to withdraw your second, or do you want to keep your second in place?
Is a conditional acceptance?
Well, you would have to withdraw
Appropriate?
your second. He would have to.
No, I'm just saying in Parliament, is a conditional acceptance acceptable, possible?
Yes.
I think it is, yes. Yeah.
Okay.
Additional approval subject to the lease, verifying
Is
the
that what
lease
you're
agreement?
asking?
Right.
Yeah, that's what he's asking.
Right.
Oh,
So we
I would support that, yeah. So I can withdraw my second so we can.
And I will restate the motion then, that it's continued for until November 6th unless we get verification from everyone involved that they do have a valid lease.
I think it needs to be a motion to approve conditionally upon the verification that the lease agreement is valid and the applicant for the liquor license does have actual possession and control of the premises.
Yes.
Is that
And
acceptable to you?
if it's not confirmed, then it can be brought back at the November 6th meeting for consideration. So that would give staff time to work with the applicant. So it's not automatically denied. It would only be approved if that is verified. But to make the motion tonight, to have it be issued upon that verification, if we are able to do so, has to be a motion to approve conditionally. It can't be a motion to continue,
Right.
accept.
I agree.
What she said.
Okay.
Sounds
Second,
good.
what she
Okay,
said.
so it's been moved to approve the liquor license condition upon having a valid lease
Sure.
that we can
Definitely.
determine and verify is a valid lease.
And if that is not confirmed,
That is
it will
not
be brought back
confirmed.
to the
It will
November 6th
come back here
meeting.
November 6th
Figured
for, it'll be deferred and brought back here November 6th
Until
for
they-
consideration.
All right.
Okay, do you second that,
Second,
Greg?
yes.
Okay, it's been moved by Kevin, seconded by Greg. Any further discussion? Hearing none, please vote.
Five yes.
Okay, item 8, receive, file, and/or refer. We've got nothing to receive, file, or refer. Item 9, other matters. Are there any other matters that any council person would like to bring up at this point?